It is 1 o'clock. It is, well, 1 o'clock in the UK where I'm based. It's Monday, a brand new week awaits, and I'm going live as usual this week to talk about the importance of community. So if you are able to watch this live, which I know is not always the case for some of you because of the time zones. But if you are watching it live, don't forget to let me know that you are by doing either hashtag live, send me an emoji, something to show me that you're there. And if you're watching on replay, then don't forget to put the hashtag replay in. I really, really appreciate all your comments and everything you do to show me that you also engage with these videos. And I'll talk a tiny bit about that later as well, why that really matters to me. Yeah, just in general, engage with it, asking questions. I will do my best to answer them if at all I can. So today I am very much talking about community because I thought this is the time of year where we're starting to get out of our shell, literally. So things, well, depending on where you live in the world, obviously, but here in the UK where I'm based, spring is it's starting to feel like spring, and everything is kind of sprouting. There's a sense of, yes, just a sense of renewal, which is nice. And this also this sense of people wanting to be outside more, which is lovely. Obviously, you will know that the true Scandinavian ethos is, as always, there is no such thing as bad weather, so only bad clothing. I'm just adjusting my screen because maybe I should adjust what I'm saying. Can I just say I have repotted my Swiss cheese plant at the weekend because it was telling me that it wasn't very happy. So I am just gonna try and see. I can't even block out that leaf now. But anyway, it will hopefully be better because it's in a nice big pot now. Okay, so since the beginning of times, we humans have created communities. Now, obviously, there's a logical reason for that because, there's always been this sense that we are stronger together. But it also goes beyond physical safety because mental well-being is a very important part of communities. Our ancestors knew this, and after a very long winter where it wouldn't have been easy to get out and about, because the weather conditions might have prevented us from it. Also, it would have taken a lot of energy and effort, which would all need to have been preserved. So it's that thing of spring bringing not only renewed hope that for the time ahead, but also opportunities to kind of come together and share this hope and joy with others. Now, in the Nordic countries, the Vikings will have various different ceremonies around springtime, and they would normally involve big get-togethers, normally around a bonfire, and often there would be some kind of setting the intention for the time ahead. So there's things like blessing of the plough and so on, which is all about obviously setting the intention for a good harvest. And you too might have been wanting to revisit maybe your New Year's resolutions or intentions for the year, because this is now where there's more energy around us, and it just as there's this energy of spring, depending on where on this beautiful planet you live, or how far your season has progressed. But when this feeling of spring comes, it gives us this urge to kind of go and be a bit more active. I'm going to go like this now because that leaf behind me is really putting me off. I'm so sorry. I should have checked that beforehand. Okay, so why are communities so key? And it's not any kind of community either. It's meaningful communities. So we humans need to connect with others. Is that saying that no man is an island? And that's very true. When we connect with others, we get a stronger sense of our own identity. It boosts our self-esteem, our willingness, and also our drive to go and make our dreams come true. In other words, connecting with the right community inspires us. And there's been lots of scientific research done that shows that the emotional strain that people get from social isolation often weakens the immune system. It can lead to all sorts of physical illnesses, such as heart disease, and it impacts our sleep too. We just don't sleep very well when we feel isolated. And obviously, not to mention the mental side effects, such as, feelings of depression. So there is a very strong need for us to feel part of something rather than separate from. And it's essential basically to our well-being. And that well-being includes all of us, from our mental and emotional well-being, which then again goes into our physical well-being. And I'll be honest with you, for many years, I did not feel like I belonged. I tried very, very hard to fit in. And no matter how much I tried to fit in, it just left me feeling confused and disheartened and stressed as well, because I felt the more I tried to fit in, the less I fitted in. And it was not good. And it took a lot of work for me to kind of get through that. And it's actually what has inspired my work as a transformational coach, probably the most. Um, so I've been there. I know what it feels like to maybe think you have communities, but not actually feel like you're belonging to a community. And I think that's very important also to flag up. I'm going a tiny bit off my own notes now, but the fact that we can sometimes think that we have a community, but it's just not giving us the right thing. We outgrow our communities as well as we grow and expand as human beings. So it's something that evolves with us as we get through our life. And obviously, the last couple of years have very much brought to our attention how important communities are. Because with the pandemic, social interaction became very difficult. I mean, sometimes it was almost like we had to be afraid of being together with other people, which goes against our own nature. But at the same time, it showed that this sense of community is like stronger than ever, because people got together, did things here in the UK that was like the clapping for the national health workers as a sign of unity. But I think on a much deeper level, people got together and kind of showed help for one another. Now, where I live is on a small road, and we actually set up a Facebook group so that we could support one another. And there were people here that were vulnerable and that couldn't get out. So it was a way for them to reach out, and without any physical interaction, it was possible for them to kind of say what they needed help with, and we would all pitch in and help, whether that was to get some shopping done or delivered, or the little things basically. And I know that went a lot further, and people supporting each other across other communities as well. So obviously, I set up this group as well, I should say, during the pandemic, because it was very important for me to, yeah, to kind of share what I know, and in order to inspire others. Because at the time, obviously, I couldn't go out and I couldn't reach out to people in the same way. So it was very much for me about reaching out online as well. But nothing beats a physical connection. And I think the main thing is about getting the balance right. And some people might feel slightly nervous now as well about getting out into the communities and having a physical community, whereas everything has been online. But I think both are very, very important. So last summer, I was so lucky. I grabbed my first opportunity I could to go and see my family in Denmark, and I did a bit of work whilst I was there, because this is not really work. This is what I love doing. And I set up some interviews with people who had recently moved to Denmark, and I wanted to find out how they found this whole transition into a Nordic country, into the ethos, and obviously it's a different culture. And some of the people I spoke to were from England, some people were further afield. And actually, what was more or less the same that they all said was that the sense of community was one of the things that they thought were the most different and that they probably had not expected. So I guess there is this sense of something being part of something bigger, basically, and it is a very, very key factor of Scandinavian life that you are part of something bigger. It's not only how the whole social structure is, well, the whole society is structured, but there is a deeper lying sense as well that one is part of something bigger. And with that comes not only obviously a sense of responsibility that we're looking out for one another, but also it comes with a deep knowing that we'll be looked out for. In other words, we're all in the same boat, we all have a role to play, and we are all important just because of that. And I think that's one of the key things that the people that I spoke to said was quite different from the cultures that they come from. You know, this sense that you were part of something and people would look out for you. You know, and it's not even something that you necessarily had to ask for, or you had to say hello, and then basically the doors would open. And also, it is obviously also part of it is, you know, enjoying this balanced life. As I talk about getting the balance in, um, and that goes through all areas of our life. But the need for a community to support us through the hard times as well as through the good times. Because again, from conversations I've had with people following the pandemic, I think the one thing that people were struggling the most with was the fact that at those key points in our life when we either want to celebrate or grieve, we need those people around us. That's especially when we feel we need them. So if you spend any time in Scandinavia, you will notice that trust plays a very big part of this, because you can't have a community without trust, and it's key for the community bonds. Now, every country in Scandinavia is different, and we have different concepts and rituals that are designed to kind of spread this contentment and bring people together within the community. So in Denmark, we've got the hygge, okay? So all about this feeling safe and content on the inside, and communicating openly with our heart, feeling that we're safe to do so. The Finns have their saunas, a sacred bonding tradition that dates back thousands of years. And the Icelandic people are big on that as well, like the bathing together, you know, getting together in their lovely thermal pools. In Sweden, they've got fika, which very much sounds like, on the first encounter, about a break and a coffee break, but in reality, it's more like a, how should I say, something that gives them an opportunity to get together for a social hour of meaningful interactions. Often it will involve coffee and cake, but again, it's about getting together and not so much about the cake itself. So, so the one, I would say, the highest common denominator for the high happiness levels in Scandinavia is community. And how can you then dip into this sense of community if you live somewhere completely different in the world? Well, I would say there is a nice and easy way to start with this. but the key thing is to start getting grounded locally. So I recommend this. It doesn't need to be something that takes a lot of time, but I would say it's something that's definitely worth doing, and probably something that, because I've traveled so much in the world also, was one of the reasons why I did not feel like I belonged in the same sense. But do something for the local community. So basically get to know your local community. That can be through organized groups. We, for example, here in the UK, we've got like the allotment, which obviously is a big part of my family's life. And we connect with the people in the allotment. And like I said, also the road that I live on, we've got like a getting together, so to speak. We've got like a group where we can engage with one another. But it can also be as simple as literally going to check on your neighbor. Okay, nothing beats the face to face, and it helps us to see the bigger picture, and it helps us grow our empathy as well. So once we get to know people, the people around us, the faces that we see, um, there's something that happens there. And I'm not saying that everyone's going to become your new best friend, because they're not, but it's the little things. And once we then kind of feel like this belonging, this rootedness, we can go out and find our tribe. And when I say tribe, I mean the people that inspire us to live a better life and help us make our dreams come true. So basically, people that inspire us to move forwards. And I think the good thing that's come out of the pandemic is probably that, more people now more than ever have found that there are ways of doing this online. So a lot of people now know how to use Zoom, for example. So it becomes a bit easier to go online. I mean, we communicated an awful lot through tablets and so on, little screens, with my family in Denmark during the whole pandemic. And it's finding the people that mean something to you, but also, like I say, the tribe, like literally the people that inspire you. They are sometimes not on your doorstep. You sometimes have to go a bit further afield in order to find those people. I'm just going to check if I can see anything in the comments. Can't see anything in the comments. Okay. And sometimes there's a delay on this. So obviously, if I spot your comments later, then I will get back to you. So yeah, and like I said, that's one of the reasons I set up this group in the first place, was because during the pandemic, I felt it was so important for me to reach out and reach more people, to inspire them to live better and happier lives. And I've run courses face-to-face as well as online for years now. But at the same time, I think almost like now that we're coming out of the pandemic, I feel there's a need to kind of go a bit deeper. So basically, I'm going to be very shortly sharing my new membership. It's a new membership platform, and a way of basically being more interactive, because I prefer to see people. I found out that I really bounce off people. I love people's questions, and that's also why I'm always inviting you to ask questions during this. But also this time during the week, it's not always the greatest for people, because with the time difference, maybe you're working, it's not always possible. But I really bounce off people, and I like to be of service and help as many people as possible. So having those questions makes me feel like I'm serving in a slightly better way. So look out. There'll be more information about my membership coming out this week, and basically in that, what I'm hoping to do is to have more interactive sessions, and also give more, dive deeper into some of these topics, exploring daily practices to generate happiness, supporting health, and obviously a fair bit of hygge in there as well. So there's my take on community and why it matters. So it's basically, it's time, it's essential that we take our time to invest in this, because it doesn't need to take a long time. It's as simple as saying, maybe to start with, hello to your neighbor, even just, smiling at your neighbor. Maybe it's helping someone with their bags. Maybe it's volunteering an hour a week at a local organization. I've done some volunteering locally for a charity shop, which was quite fun. I've done more meaningful work with that charity later on, because it really got me engaged and involved. But I mean, the other day I saw my neighbor heading out and it was raining, and it's as simple as going like, do you want a lift? It's actually the first time I've had that person in my car, and having had this social distance for a couple of years, it felt slightly weird. And at the same time, it just felt so good, giving her a lift to the shop. And I actually saw her later on in the shop. And I said, "You're still here. Do you want to lift back?" She was fine. But it's the little things. And it can really, if you start making these little changes, it will start making make a shift inside you as well. And you'll feel like this sense of community. And not only this sense of the physical belonging, but this sense of other people. I won't say they're not needing you, maybe, but that you can be of service to. And I think that's again a word I've used before. This thing of us helping each other out is extremely important. And sometimes it's with no effort whatsoever. Like my elderly neighbor, sometimes she can't open a jar. Sometimes I can't open my jar. My husband has to do it, but I can open my neighbor's jar. Or when she'd hurt her hand, I could cut her bread. And it's these little things, and the willingness and the openness to do that and to be of service to one another. And it might only take 5 minutes of your time, but it's going to create a big shift in you and your sense of community. And if you then want to take it to anything bigger, then obviously you can do, because that is completely down to you. Okay, so that's what I've got for you today, talking about community. So if you want to develop your community, start local. Physical community is very important. Now, if you live out in the sticks and you literally have got no neighbors, that's where I used to live when I was a child. I lived on a farm and our neighbors seemed like they were miles away. Then the connection is very much to the land, and then maybe to the neighbors on those rare occasion where it's possible to get together. And then the physical connection, will develop there from there on. And the online thing about finding your tribe and those people that really inspire you. Well, I hope that some of you people are in this group because of that reason. But like I said, sometimes our communities and our community needs change over time, and that's fine too. So just make sure that you are in the right place, where you also feel that you are being inspired and nurtured to be the best you. That's all we've got time for today. I hope you've enjoyed this talk. And as always, if I didn't catch your comments during this live session, then just make sure you put them in there. I will do my best to answer them during the day. I will see you all soon. Have a lovely week ahead. Bye-bye.